The New Mexico Junior College hosted a music con last week in Hobbs. Find out more coming up.
Cooler temps on the way this weekend and windy conditions. Find out my first weather forecast.
The mayor of Clovis delivered his annual State of the City address yesterday. Find out more about that and other news now.
This is News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening and welcome to News 3 New Mexico. I'm Corbin Shaner.
And I'm Marcos Baltieres. Thank you so much for watching. A Clovis man has been arrested for the rape of a child under 13 years of age. 18-year-old Antoine Smith from Tyler, Texas was taken into custody on Friday, April 11th for 2 counts of criminal sexual penetration in the first degree for a child under 13, otherwise known as child rape. Antoine Smith was in custody for a little over 4 days. He was released on Tuesday at 4:16 with a signature bond requiring no upfront money to be paid for the release.
Federal charges have been filed against a man in Albuquerque in connection with both the Tesla showroom attack and the firebombing at the Republican Party of New Mexico headquarters. Early February, 2 Tesla vehicles took damage in an arson attack at the Albuquerque showroom, located on Santa Ana Pueblo. The building also took damage with graffiti phrases like Tesla Nazi Incorporated and swastika symbols spray painted in red and black paint on exterior walls. Then almost 2 months later, on March 30th, the Republican Party of New Mexico headquarters was damaged in an arson attack. Investigators located matching glass containers of improvised flammable mixtures with distinctive green lids at both crime scenes. Federal investigators linked Wagner to both crimes through surveillance footage and matching scene evidence. Agents from the FBI and ATF raided Wagner's house on April 12th. There they found fire-starting devices, ingredients matching the flammable liquid used at both scenes, black and red spray paint, and a stencil bearing the phrase ICE equals KKK, which matched the graffiti sprayed on the headquarters. Wagner is facing 2 counts of malicious damage or destruction of property by fire and will stay in custody. If convicted, Wagner faces between 5 and 20 years behind bars for each count.
A Clovis man has been sentenced to 8 years in the New Mexico Department of Corrections after pleading guilty to felony in possession of a firearm, possession of a controlled substance, and burglary. Jeremy Crisp was arrested on charges that stem from an incident on April 13, 2024. Officers were dispatched to Park Drive after a 911 caller reported a male inside his home. The homeowner Chris inside and asked him several times to leave. Instead, Chris got a drink from the fridge and began walking towards the homeowner's daughter's room. The homeowner then threatened Chris with a shotgun, and Chris exited shortly thereafter.
A Portales emergency dispatcher was released from the Roosevelt County Detention Center on Monday after being arrested for an aggravated DUI on Sunday. Portales City Manager Christopher Moyer confirmed that Destiny Leanne Lucero, at age 31, is a dispatcher and has been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. According to police reports, Lucero backed into a patrol unit which had its emergency lights turned on. After an interaction, the officer was able to smell a strong odor of alcohol and noticed Lucero slurring her words with bloodshot, watery eyes. You know, it was really hot today, but I hear it's supposed to cool down this weekend.
It's supposed to cool down this weekend and also tonight as well. And winds are supposed to pick up too.
That's insane. We got like the whole trio coming out or something like that.
Yeah, well, I like warm weather, but I'm curious what's going to happen.
Yes, first, let's take a look at our regional radar, though, first. That consists of Southern California, Arizona, and New Mexico. We are seeing clear skies throughout most of this region. A little bit of spotted showers in the northern New Mexico area. A little bit of snow, maybe possibly in that area. But let's take a look at tonight's lows. We're looking at 52 in Albuquerque, 42 up in Raton, 47 in Farmington, 51 in Socorro. Here in Portales, we're looking at 57, Clovis at 53, Amarillo at 58, and Lubbock at 62. As we take a look tomorrow here in Portales, we are going to see 90 as a high with mostly sunny skies, windy conditions. Winds are going to be out of the southwest at 30 miles per hour. But I'll have more on my first full weather forecast. Back to you, Marcos.
Thank you, Jaden. Well, the courthouse at Roosevelt County had some landscaping work done over the week. The county contracted EJ Enterprise and Services to install new turf fields in front of the courthouse, taking it from a patchy brown and green surface to that beautiful green you see there. The company says that the turf not only enhances the look, but offers durability and keeps it looking nice and green all year round, without the hassle of constant upkeep.
New Mexico Junior College hosted a music con last week, bringing industry professionals and some awesome performances to Hobbs.
News 3 New Mexico's Hannah Knight took us down to the music con to see everything that the event has to offer.
New Mexico Junior College recently hosted a music con, bringing industry professionals to the Hobbs campus to speak to NMJC and Eastern New Mexico University students. The event was a big success, with speakers like producer Scott Ferris, rising artist Elaine Rojas, Luke Combs bassist Matt Maxwell, Dustin Garrett, and Alan Crossland bringing some industry knowledge and words of inspiration for visiting students.
I think if you don't have that level of support, what you have to do is steel yourself and determine that you're going to prove the world wrong. You're going to prove to them and yourself that you can, that you have it.
And there's a path, there's a way, there's things you can do, there's people you can talk to, you learn and you grow with it. You know, it's not like today you're playing a bar full of 5 people, tomorrow you're doing 50,000, 50 plus thousand people. You know, it's a process usually, at least it was for me, and I feel like for most of us. But there is a process to get there, and you can't, like any one of y'all, any of us can get there.
After the panels, the event wrapped up with a live sound demo from New Mexico Junior College's Professor Frank Aguilera and Don Williams of Hobbs Local Business Q Systems. NMJC's student band, Fearless Touring Ensemble, took the stage afterwards and gave a few fantastic cover performances of artists like Gorillaz, Olivia Rodrigo, and Billie Eilish, showcasing exactly what they've learned. There are many challenging bridges to cross for students interested in becoming entertainment professionals, but with opportunities like these, NMJC provided another step forward. For News 3 New Mexico, I'm Hannah Knight.
Wow, those were some incredible covers.
And it seems like New Mexico Junior College pulled a great variety of professionals this year. Thanks, Hannah. Coming back to the break, Clovis had their own State of a City event yesterday. We'll have a look at what Mike Morris plans for the future.
Cooler temps on the way this weekend and windy conditions are also on the way, but first, here's a look at today's financial market. And I'm here to take you through today's weather. As we take a look here in the west coast of the U.S., we are seeing partly cloudy with scattered showers throughout San Francisco all the way to Denver. A little bit of snow also south of Denver. Let's take a look in the eastern part of the U.S. We are seeing a little bit of rain moving east towards St. Louis. And then as we take a look here in New Mexico, we are seeing clear skies throughout most of the state. And then if you get to the northern part, you are seeing scattered showers with possible chances of snow. This all moving towards the east. But here on the eastern plains, we are seeing clear skies throughout most of the eastern plains. You might have a little bit of cloud cover moving up towards Amarillo area. And then we are looking at our current temperatures: 78 in Farmington, 83 in Albuquerque, 84 in Santa Rosa. Santa Fe is at 80, up in Raton, 75. And then down south in Alamogordo, you're looking at 90, Rio Doce at 76. And then here on the eastern plains, we're seeing 85 here in Portales, 94 in Roswell, up in Clovis, 84. In the panhandle of Texas, we're looking at 84 in Amarillo, 89 in Lubbock, and Hobbs is at 90 degrees. Let's take a look at our wind forecast throughout the rest of tonight into tomorrow. You're going to see the high at 25 miles per hour at 10 p.m. with southwest winds, and then it dies back down to the early mornings tomorrow, and at 11 a.m. tomorrow, you're going to have winds at 6 miles per hour out of the southwest south area. As we take a look at our allergy report, we are seeing grass, pollen, and ragweed all at high. Take a look at tonight's lows. We're looking at 47 in Albuquerque, 40 in Farmington, 40 in Santa Fe, 47 in Santa Rosa. Up north, we're looking at 36 in Clayton, 41 in Clayton, 55 in Amarillo, 55 in Clovis. And then here in Portales, you're looking at 57, Amarillo 55, and then Lubbock, Texas at 65. So we look at tomorrow's highs, you're going to see 70 in Farmington, 79 in Albuquerque, 84 in Socorro, 93 in Roswell, 90 here in Portales, and then in Clovis, we're looking at 89. Amarillo is going to be at 92. And then in Lubbock, you're going to see 96 as a high. So we took a look at our 7-day forecast. You're looking at Carlsbad Thursday and Friday, both windy. And then into the weekend, you're going to dip down into 69 on Saturday with partly cloudy skies. Sunday at 74. And then into next week, you're going to be pushing back up close to the 90s with lows around the 50s and 40s. So we take a look in Roswell, you're going to see windy conditions tomorrow with a high of 93. Friday, windy conditions as well at 81. And then throughout the weekend, temps dip down a little bit too. But next week, you're going to be at 84 on Monday, 87 on Tuesday, and 87 on Wednesday. Here in Portales, though, we are going to see 90 as a high tomorrow. Friday with windy conditions at 76. Saturday, 61 with a low of 38. Sunday, 71 with a 7% chance of rain with a low of 42. And then next week, you're going to see partly cloudy skies throughout most of the week. Monday at 81, Tuesday at 84 with a low of 51. And then Wednesday, you're going to have a 25% chance of rain with mostly sunny skies at 81 as a high.
Well, it sounds like we're going to need sunscreen tomorrow.
Yeah, it's supposed to be hot tomorrow, but in the weekend, it dips down just a little bit.
That's what I'm excited for
Yeah.
sure.
We'll be right back here after the break with more news for you. Welcome back. The Mayor of Clovis, Mike Morris, delivered his annual State of the City address yesterday evening at the Clovis Public Library. It was just about 50 minutes long, with many highlights over the city of Clovis. He also had this to note about the future of Clovis.
I literally mean, I envision us being twice the size we are in the year 2045.
The speech also includes talks about the quality of life in Clovis, covering education, housing, healthcare, recreation, beautification. It also talks about public safety, water safety, economy, and job creation, and infrastructure investment in the city's ongoing partnership with Cannon Air Force Base.
The Clovis and Curry County Chamber of Commerce is hosting their 2025 Leadership Clovis Golf Tournament, set for this Saturday at the Colonial Park Golf Course. They invite golfers of all skill levels to register for this 4-person scramble, all in support of the Leadership Clovis program. Entry for the event is $100 per player and includes both breakfast and lunch. Teams can also boost their games with $5 mulligans, but only up to 8 per team. Deadline to register is today and can be done at the Chamber of Commerce at 105 East Grand. For more information, you can call the Chambers of Commerce at 575-763-3435, or you can email events@clovisnm.org.
The annual Portales Easter egg hunt is coming up this Friday. The event, hosted by the Portales High School National Honor Society with help from Student Council and the Business Professionals American Group, is open for all kids of Portales of any age. It will take place at Steiner Field at the junior high and will take place from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m.
The deadline is fast approaching for the Que Linda Billboard Design Contest. The theme for this year's contest is Keep Curry Clean. Students grades 6 through 12 are encouraged to submit their designs, whether painting or a sketch, to be considered to win. In your submission, answer the question, how can you keep litter out of your county? And what does keeping Curry County clean mean to you? The winning submission will be displayed on a billboard in Curry County. To submit your design, you can go to the admin complex at 417 Giddings Street, Suite 100 in Clovis, New Mexico, or you can email it to kebeza@currycountynm.gov.
The city of Roswell just announced that a new construction company is coming to Roswell, New Mexico. The new company, titled Builtwise Structures, is set to bring 400 jobs and invest millions of dollars into the Roswell community within the next 2 years. Builtwise Structures is a company based in South Carolina aiming to be the top private label, wholesale provider for off-site construction of homes, townhomes, and multi-family projects. This will be their 3rd site behind Greenwood, South Carolina, and Pueblo, Colorado. Coming back to the break, Lorenzo will have his full sports report for you,
including a look at some prospects for the Kentucky Derby, coming up in 90 seconds, so stay tuned.
Welcome back, sports fans, to News 3 New Mexico. My name is Lorenzo Solis, and let's take a dive into today's report. Kicking off today's report, we got our game on with the esports. As the NMAA Esports State Championships wrap up this year, we have the results for some of the winners for this year's events. In 1A team bracket, Floyd took home the win, as well as the A2A Super Smash Bros. Bracket. Hobbs took home the state championship title for the 5A Mario Kart event, as well as the 5A Splatoon bracket. As for Portales, they took home the win as 4A team champions, as well as the titles of the A4A Hearthstone and 4A Super Smash Bros. Championships. Congratulations to these teams for their victory in this year's state championships. In 1A team bracket, Floyd took home the win for the Super Smash. All right, on to the next report. We're off to the races because we're talking about Kentucky Derby, and we have this week's fair odds. In first is Burnham Square with the odds of 8-1 and a score of 130. In second place is Sandman with the odds of 5-1 and a score just barely below 1.129. In third is Journalism with 3-1 odd and a score of 122.5. In fourth is Rodriguez with 6-1 odds and a score of 121.5. In the fifth spot is Tistastic, odds of 15-1 and 119 for the score. Tappan Street is in sixth, odds of 10-1 and a score of 110. In seventh is Sovereignty, odds of 9-2 with the same score of 110. Final Gambit is in the eighth spot of 30-1 with a score of 100. In ninth is Coal Battle with odds of 20-1 with a score of 95. And finally, in 10th is a Chunk of Gold, 20-1 and a score of 75. Moving on to the next report, you could call it a doubleheader if you want. It's baseball and softball. With the season winding down for both teams, the heat is on for both men and women. Starting off with the Lady Hound softball team, their season was a solid one with a fair share of twists and turns, and with only 4 doubleheaders left in the season, the Lady Hounds still have an opportunity to leave the season on a high note. That being said, they still have to shake off the current 2-game losing streak after their last matchup against West Texas A&M. With their next matchup against Angelo being tonight and their win-to-loss ratio 26-20, we wish the Lady Hounds luck for the rest of the season. Moving on to the Greyhounds baseball, their season is more or less the same. With a win-to-loss ratio of 20 and 26-20, the Greyhound baseball team has been fighting tooth and nail for their position, with the latest split 2 wins, 2 losses from the last 4-game series against Lubbock Christian. Now the next 4-game series will be against Angelo State. After that, the boys in green and silver have one last series of games against Texas A&M International. Can the Greyhounds leave this season on a high note? Stay tuned. Running us into home plate is the MLB, and we're making it a quick one tonight. Top 5 teams for this week have shifted, with the San Diego Padres in first, 14-4, the San Francisco Giants in second, the LA Dodgers making a climb to the third this week in 13-6. In fourth with 11-7 is the New York Mets, and finally in fifth is the Chicago Cubs, 12-8. I'll have more next week, so stay tuned. That's all the sports I have for today, but don't change that channel, because we'll be back with Corbin and Marcos right after the break.
Welcome back. An ambitious scientific study, years in the making, aimed to map a mammal's brain in intricate 3D.
And of all things, a mouse watching The Matrix help make it happen. Jeremy Roth explains in today's Take a Look at This.
Scientists recently pulled off the unthinkable, using a mouse mesmerized by movies to create the first precise 3D mapping of a mammal's brain. The study, a culmination of a decade's worth of research and published in the journal Nature, focused on a tiny section of the test mouse's brain. The subject was stimulated physically and mentally by running on a treadmill while being shown movie clips, including snippets from The Matrix. You know, the movie where the guy's subconscious gets plugged into a supercomputer. To wit, researchers then used their own supercomputers to map the activity of the mouse's mind, resulting in an unprecedented 3D map showing the form, function, and activity of thousands of neurons and brain cells and 500 million synapses, all from a sliver of tissue representing only 1/500th of the furry film buff's full brain. In other heady headlines, check out the big brain on this California 10-year-old. Alyssa Perales learned to read at just 2 years old, started doing algebra at 5, and began classes at Crafton Hills College when she was only 8. Now, this 10-year-old whiz kid is about to graduate with 2 associate's degrees and is waiting to hear if she got into Stanford. Finally, speaking of kids experienced beyond their years, this Texas teenager continues to defy the odds. After being diagnosed with terminal brain cancer at age 6, DJ Daniel set a goal of being sworn in at 1,000 police departments. Now 13 and still fighting, Daniel soared past his goal, being sworn in at 203 departments simultaneously, setting a potential world record in the process, and all while keeping his signature sense of humor.
But there's only one thing missing here. When do I go on patrol and when do I get paid?
Or take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
Wow, that really was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's the news we have for you guys tonight.
And we hope to see you next time.